Dan Larson here at the photo booth with a bunch of stuff sent into the show. But first, I finally grabbed one, so let's do a quick pseudo 4 minutes or less with the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. Pictured. The trailer looks awesome. I am totally looking forward to the new series, despite the fact that it's going to cost me more money just to be able to watch it through the subscription to Disney+. I haven't been a Black Series completist for a while, so I don't know exactly when the new articulation on this piece rolled out. Hasbro has been flirting with butterfly shoulders, which this has, but kind of. They don't really move very, very far, but they're there. They've been experimenting with it for a while. Marvel Legends, Overwatch, and Power Rangers. Looks like it's going to be standard now on some of them, but and this one has it as well. He's also got a new neck joint that I think, as far as Black Series goes, rolled out on the Lando from the Solo movie. That's just sort of a second pivot in the neck there at the base. There's some movement on those butterfly shoulders, but the neck definitely makes a difference in terms of him being able to look around and stuff. I'm a little disappointed that this knee pad on mine keeps popping off. I'm going to have to find some kind of glue to get that to stay on. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure my cat and then my vacuum cleaner will find it. But I've seen some other issues with armor pieces, either falling off or just not being in the package at all. So make sure you check before you buy. I know I've seen people literally not have this. Maybe it's a Shore Trooper shoulder pad, but just not have that panel in the package at all. We don't really know anything about the story of the Mandalorian. I mean, I'm sure some people do. I've gotten pretty good at avoiding things at this point, so I don't really want to know too much about it going into it. I can make some assumptions on my own, but I'm not gonna dig too deep online. I'm still getting used to the symmetry on the helmet. I know he's not the first Mando armored character to have a no rangefinder. I do love my Previshla, but it still feels weird. The biggest issue here for me with Mandalorian is that, you know, this is not intended to be Boba Fett in any way. Most likely, as far as I know, it takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and my assumption is that they want to tell stories about new characters that aren't necessarily directly tied to the characters in the mainline trilogy. It allows them to go wherever they want with the narrative and have fun, be dramatic, raise the stakes. None of the characters need to survive this series in order to appear in the mainline saga for any reason, especially since that is pretty much finished. I fully appreciate that this character, the Mandalorian, will most likely be... he'll most likely inherit the reputation that Boba Fett developed over 40 years in existence, even though there wasn't really that much proof, especially in the films, that he ever did anything worth the reputation beyond delivering Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt. This character is going to earn whatever reputation he ends up having, and it is possible that that helmet, this design, could become synonymous with this character going forward. That said, it is a great figure, despite the fact that this tuning fork rifle doesn't really stay in the hole so great. I just have mine sort of tucked into the hole in the strap that's designed to sort of line up. There's a hole in his back. You can see it. There's a hole in his back and then a hole in the actual strap. I just tuck it into the strap and it seems to stay there pretty well, although it doesn't hang at the sort of angle that it might be intended to. But you know, it's a great figure, but a lot of people, including myself, until the other day, are having a lot of trouble finding one. So if you see one, buy it. If you see two, leave one for the next collector. Back to the mailbox. First up is Travis from Biddeford, Maine. He is Stone Feathers on Instagram. He sent in a whole bag of Build-A-Figure parts, and most importantly, we got all kinds of parts here. Giant Man torso, mantis head, Clayface head and shorts. We got a Cull Obsidian arm. We got Warlock, Thanos, Ares. But most importantly, he sent in the Build-A-Figure arm, the arm for Monster Venom here that I didn't have. Definitely one of the best Build-A-Figures I own. Definitely one of the best in the line. So thank you very much to Travis for hooking me up with that piece so I could have this piece. Next up is Seth from Shreveport, Louisiana. He is Simo Wilkins, S-I-M-O-W-I-L-K-I-N, Simo Wilkins on Instagram. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Seth sent in quite a few things here. First up, we have the, and I already opened it and assembled it here, so I didn't take up a bunch of time on camera here, but this is, I don't know what these are actually called, but it's like a Gundam egg head. It comes out of like a gashapon, sort of like a quarter machine thing. We have them in my area at they're like Think Geek stores, some of those. But it basically comes in like a little egg shaped, like a baseball sized thing. I think they cost like $2 or $3, something like that. And then you sort of open the whole thing up. There's pieces, the crest here, the chin piece are all sort of tucked inside of it, and you assemble the thing. This is RX-78-3, which is one of the early sort of versions of the RX-78. 2. Well, I guess it was later than the 2, if you really want to be specific. The 2, of course, being my favorite Gundam, the original, whatever. We've also got a couple of bots in here. Some of Seth's doubles. Oop. I don't know any of their names. I can just tell you that we've got Stapler, Autobots, toilet paper roll. This is a, I don't know, ketchup bottle of some sort, perhaps. This is a burger, baseball bat, cupcake, and this one, I don't know, some kind of battery or container. I don't know what that one's supposed to be. And then this one, oh man, I didn't notice this one before. This one's just like a little potted plant. I think Mrs. Toy Galaxy will dig that one quite a bit. We've also got a Kamen Rider build figure here. This is one of those, I believe this is a Bandai model kit. Already assembled for the most part. Oh, I think our hand came off. I don't know anything about this version of Kamen Rider. Other than this is a stylish as heck outfit. I don't know what the significance of it is. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I'm quite sold on this era of Kamen Rider. Some of the outfits and some of the belt gimmicks are crazy. I think it looks amazing. I love how they're pushing the boundaries of character design and all of that stuff. But as far as my particular interest in the figures and in the series, I'm still locked in that older sort of boring era of all the designs. But you tell me if this is something I should be checking out, and then where or how I could actually check it out, because I sure don't know. Also in here we've got a just absolutely gorgeous, incredible piece here. I did show this on my I posted this on my Instagram a while back when it first came in. This is a custom painted, real grade RX-72 model kit. I'm going to lower this a little bit here. Let's get a better look at it. It's an RX-78-2 model kit, custom painted to be the RX-78-1, which was the earlier version of the prototype Gundam, with some, individual flair that Seth put into it. And this thing is just incredibly well done. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a highly articulated model kit, but just the paint treatment is really, really fantastically. If I didn't know this was a hand-painted thing, I would have assumed that this was just how it came out of the package, and that it was just like a, robot spirits type of heavily hyper-articulated figure. And it's gorgeous, and I love it. And if that wasn't enough, Seth also sent in, well, I didn't prep this. I didn't get him out of the package, but we've got vintage Kenner Fett number 483 in the Boba Sett. So that, oh, man, look at this guy. Actually, I should have prepped this. Hang on for 1 second. All right, I just always be prepared with a sharp object to cut things open, because look at this guy. Holy cow. Hard to believe that that's what he looks like, but I've got all kinds of, paint treatments at this point where stuff has just worn off and scratched away, and that one is incredible, just the degree to which it has completely discovered in the front, just the whole torso piece there going green. That is really fantastic. That's number 43. So thank you, Seth. Next up is Brian from Lincoln, Nebraska. Only thing in this box is another Kenner Fett. Another one. Look at this guy. Stand up, bud. This guy, again, pretty heavily worn. Brian's story here is that when he was a kid, this is actually his Boba Fett from when he was a kid. He always had good guy figures. His pal, his childhood friend always had the bad guys. In fact, he had multiple bad guys, multiple pieces of bad guys, multiple Fetts, multiple Vaders, and his friend gave him this one to balance the odds on his team. And this is the one that stuck with him ever since, and he decided to contribute it to the Boba Sett. So that is fantastic. This is number 484, and just like the previous one from Seth, just a lot of green in here, a lot of just worn out, loose limbs. Totally loving it. Thanks a lot, Brian. And next up from Carmel, New York is Christopher and Sean. Not only are they from Carmel, New York, but they're also from Hudson Horror Show. Check them out on Facebook. They sent in a couple of items here. We have 2 Gundam Converge pieces. Converge, just as far as I know, being the name of this tiny line of figures. And I do appreciate that the Gundam Exia is already assembled here for the most part. He's got his little blaster in his hand. And there's a stand, and you got 2 additional hands here that have beam sabers in them. And then, I don't know what this is. It's a blade of some sort. Attaches, oh, must attach right here to that little hinge there. So we got Gundam Exia. I don't know anything about Exia, nor do I know anything about, oh, this one's not open yet. This is Akatsuki. I don't know anything about either of these. They look awesome, and I have quite a bit of a Converge collection at this point. I'm going to have to post a picture of that on my Instagram at toygalaxy at some point here, just so I even know what I have, because I think they're displayed in different spots right now. And then we have this very tiny Mecha Cold Bandai. I don't know what the actual name of this particular line is, but we have Black, Kamen Rider Black. The tiniest little kit ever. Hang on. This is almost the size of an actual bug. Hang on. I think, there we go. It's like he's turning the handlebars, and then is there a kickstand? Oh no, he's got his foot down. Hang on. I don't know which way that's supposed to go. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. There we go. All right. And good. The tiniest little, get this hair out of here. There's cats in the booth. Oh no. I assure you I will not be painting this thing, but holy cow is that thing tiny. I like having lots of different scales of stuff because you can use it. I could use this with a larger piece and make the larger piece change scale, whether it's a Gundam or a Transformer or Godzilla or whatever. It's really great to have this tiny little thing, but that is going to need some paint applied, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that myself, or I might have to hand that off to my buddy Rich, who paints tiny things really well. That's kind of his jam. But that's really cool. Let me slide this over here, because also in the box we have Vintage Kenner Fett, number 485. Still lots of cool wear on that. He doesn't want to stand up. Lots of great wear. Very battle worn. A little tighter than the last one. Different chest armor fingerprint there, but still just as awesome. So that's number 45. So thank you to Sean and Chris. Definitely take a look at Hudson Horror Show on Facebook. That's their page over there. And thanks again for sending that stuff in. Next up is Wilfredo from very close to my neighborhood in Merrimack, New Hampshire. He is David Porkchop on Instagram. He was actually at the meetup that we had just back on September 1st. This is the Escape from the Death Star board game with the new vintage Tarkin, the new vintage Tarkin, scaled and set and articulation just like the original vintage figures, including the blaster. Just for quick comparison here, this box is pretty cool because it's got like the faux wear on it. But I actually have an original one here as well. Mine doesn't have quite the same wear, which I guess we couldn't expect Hasbro to match it exactly. But, you know, it's very well reproduced using the Kenner branding and everything. It's not an exact match, but I wouldn't expect it to be. It is darn close enough. Mine is a bit more yellowed here, a bit more weathered. But as far as I know, everything on the inside is exactly the same. I did take a preparatory step here. So Tarkin is actually carded if you haven't picked this up, if you haven't seen it yet. This card is not quite as heavyweight as vintage cards are, and it's got this faux weathering around it as well. You know, but it looks cool, and they made the effort, and I already cut this open to take a look at the figure, which is really, really, really neat that they made this. It is definitely the most glaring omission from the vintage line. As I recall, there were either rights with Peter Cushing, or it was that they just thought that nobody was going to buy an action figure of that guy. I can't remember what the exact story is. I would have to look that up to be sure. The important thing is that, and it's not like this is the first Tarkin figure that's been made, obviously. We recently got a 6-inch Black Series figure. And, I mean, even just the 90s Power of the Force line had a Tarkin in it. So he's been represented, heavily represented since, but it was always that glaring absence in the vintage line. I don't know if people are going to consider this part of that line, but it's good enough for me, and I really think it's great to finally have that in there, and I think it fits perfectly. So very, very neat to get that. Thank you very much to Wilfredo for sending that in. Again, check his Instagram out. He's David Porkchop. Next up are John and Patty from Bay City, Michigan. The absolute coolest thing they sent in is this Transformers mug. Classic Optimus on the one side, classic Megatron on the other. The grid in the background from 1984. It's full of HeroClix figures. Most of these, I think, are just random guys. I didn't really get that into HeroClix. I definitely had some. Oh, there's Patch. The sort of random nature of not knowing what you were going to get in the box. I've never really been terribly excited about that. So, you know, I rolled the dice a couple of times very early on and then said, nah, this doesn't seem like a very good way to invest my money. I'll just wait. And if there's specific figures I want to pick up, I'll pick those specific ones up. We've also got Jan Rog from the Captain Marvel film, a figure I didn't have yet, so that's cool. And I think, honestly, I didn't really go that much on this wave. I definitely grabbed Captain Marvel. She didn't come with a Build-A-Figure piece. And, yeah, I didn't get anybody else. Definitely wanted some of these others, but, you know, at a certain point, it's like, do I want to spend $20 a piece on these? And then I didn't really catch them at the clearance prices that I wanted to, so not really wanting the Build-A-Figure that much, I passed on pretty much all of them, even though I know that Space Captain Marvel here was translucent-y, as was, I think, Grey Gargoyle might have had, maybe you just had, like, flex molded into him. But, you know, they're all good figures, and I really enjoyed the film. So glad to have that. That's cool. Inside here, we also have, this is Alternator's Wheeljack, who's a Ford Mustang GT. I'm not even going to bother trying to transform that right now because I won't be able to. And then we've got a couple of Buddy L vehicles here. Things I haven't seen in a long time. I don't know if I ever actually owned these, but they always seem to like sort of turn up either at your friend's house or somewhere. So this one's from '83. This one is from, I'm going to guess right around the same time. I don't see a date on it, but those are both those kinds. Ooh, does this work? Holy cow. Nice. The convertible top actually works. That's really neat. I totally didn't expect that to work. And then inside we've also got, this is Road Ranger, the GoBot. Sort of the GoBot's Ultra Magnus, because he, you know, turns into a truck that has a flatbed that can actually carry other GoBots. We've got a couple more HeroClix in here. And then a Loyal Subjects Baroness, which is cool. I did not have her. I think my G.I. Joe set might be complete now. I'm not sure. And then a couple of... I also collect vintage cap guns. We got a couple of very small vintage cap guns here. Esquire, Amsterdam, New York. Yeah, I don't know these. I'll have to look these up. I'm not familiar with this particular design at this scale. I know the larger vintage cap gun's a little bit better than that. But nice little batch of stuff here. Like I said, this mug is just the killer. This is the best thing in here, easily by far. So that's very cool. Thanks to both John and Patty for this great box of fun stuff. And then last but absolutely not least, from Rob and Kevin in Eastlake, Ohio. See if I can get these two guys to stand up. One. There we go. Hang on. Oh, that's riveting YouTube right there. Riveting. Close up. All right. I can't get any closer. I got to move them in, and then that messes up my light. There we go. All right. Good stuff. Way to go, guys. All right, but we got 2 more Fetts for the Boba Sett. This is numbers 486 and 487. Rob and Kevin, both longtime watchers, first-time senders, as they put it. They found these two Boba Fetts in a make-offer bin at Toy-Hio, toy and collectible show called Toy-Hio. So sent them home to the Boba Sett. Like I said, numbers 486 and 487. Looking good, nice and tight. Oh, look at this. I just noticed that he's totally got a... hang on, I'm blocking my light when I try to point to it. Look at that right there in his shoulder. He's got a total chunk taken out, and you can see the joint. Ah, look at that. Ah, it's so gross. But otherwise, it's in really great shape. Really good stuff there. Thanks to both Rob and Kevin from Eastlake. Thanks to Toy-Hio for having them in their make-offer bin, whoever had that. Thanks to Travis, Seth, Brian, Sean, Chris, Wilfredo, John, Patty, Rob, and Kevin again. Thank you for watching this and all of our videos. Hit like, hit subscribe, check out our Patreon if you're in the position to help the channel grow. Thanks. Later.